So, upon going on YouTube, I like watching storytime videos, because it usually pertains to an unfathomable amount of bullshit for most people. But I tend to look at it comparatively, and I always come to the conclusion that this ain't shit. And here's why. I'll provide you an example. One of many. But today, I think I'll talk about the time. I don't know what I'm going to call this. However, one day, one night, I tend to look at myself. I'm not really comfortable. I can't really. It's kind of dark in here, so I can't even see the little dot here. So I want to look at myself. So one night, I go to this girl's house with the boys because we were cruising. And, pull up on her house. We're just hanging out, having a good time all day. And I kind of liked this girl. Not kind of, I liked her a lot. Like her a lot. And hang out and all. And then her and I find ourselves alone towards the end of that night. And it's her birthday. So I thought maybe, an easy way to pull would be to offer a present, because I tend to carry fat stacks in my wallet. I don't know why. Just feel comfortable doing so. And so I reach in my pocket while we were alone, and I offer her a present, and I accidentally pull out a $50 bill. Now, upon doing this, I realize I'm not going to give this $50 bill with essentially no reward, quite sociopathically. So I say, how about I give you this $50 bill if you give me a kiss? And, upon her drinking some Jack Daniels that night, it was quite a abnormal taste as we proceeded to go beyond the social construct of kissing. And so afterwards, it had been a while since I had left my friends, and so they started to cause some ruckus. And we returned, and the last thing we talked about was talking about going on a date the following day. And so it's morning, and we're texting. And slowly it becomes apparent she is becoming less interested, which was not very surprising. And, when it's time for the movie we were going to see, she goes ghost mode on me. And you see, I'm quite a daring individual. So when I saw this, I knew immediately, because I'm not stupid, that I was about to get stood up and wasn't going to finish there. I wasn't going to lose that early. All or nothing. So I had my permit at the time. So I didn't really drive to her house. I drove there with my mom. Yeah, that makes the story a lot much better. Drove there to her house with my mom after getting stood up. And I arrive at her house on the way to the theater upon making a very daring decision. And I arrive and notice there's a lot of cars in the driveway, which was quite suspect, but I wasn't quite worried about that at the time. And I arrive at the door, and her dad answers, which is always awkward. It's never a pleasant experience. You never really want to talk to, at least with me, I don't want to talk to people I don't have to talk to. And it just went like that. And immediately, as soon as I knocked on the door, I knew I regretted this, and I wish I could just disappear, evaporate, cease to exist. I wish Thanos would have snapped his fingers at the exact moment I knocked on that door, but none of that happened. So I go into their house with my mom parked in the front of her yard. Walk into her house, and there's no potential partner in sight. It's just her mom and dad that I make the most awkward, horrific, nightmarish small talk imaginable, and they force her out of her room. She is essentially hiding in her room at this point. But before she comes out, her friends come out, and they just thought it was very comical, as I would too if I was in their position. But for me, on the other hand, I was just praying to God. I was in an alternate universe where, as I had mentioned earlier, didn't happen. So they forced Kendall out of her room. A name dropped. Oof. Awesome. Now I'm going to have to watch tutorials on YouTube how to edit that out if I even feel like it. But they forced her out of her room, and she doesn't even spare eye contact. Maybe if I would have paid her a fifth of what I paid her the night before, I could have gotten some eye contact, because I'm apparently not a human being. Roadkill could get eye contact for free. But so immediately she came out of her room, she gave me probably the most bare bone, unsympathetic, dry hug devised by man. And it was very heartless and cold. It was approximately negative 32 degrees, that hug. And so I immediately leave as fast as I can, like blah 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 blah, outie, fast as I can, not getting out of there. Go to the car, and then my mom awaits me. I'm like, oh great, forgot about that. So that's that. Probably the worst moment of my life. And you see, I told this, I'm going to include this too, because not only is that good enough, but I told this story to a girl the other day, because I tend to go through a rotation of a different girl per week, because they play me or I play them, it never works out. And I told this to a girl the other week, and she was like, that's it? That's the worst moment of your life? What a softie. Alright. So that's all. That's one of many stories. You can, comparatively, you could analyze them and see which is the worst. But yeah, I'm gonna figure out how to try and get the name out of the equation of this video, but probably not. I don't really care anymore about much of anything. Currently undergoing recovery for pre-cancer surgery I had Friday, and I was going to throw a party, but I had 100 people on the list. But I don't really like millennials. With that in mind, adios.